When we say memory, most people think of it as a storage device in the brain, something like a hard drive where information is kept. But memory is not just what you remember. Memory is the very basis of your existence. The way your nose is shaped, the way your body functions, the color of your eyes, even the fact that your heart beats without you commanding it, all this is memory, not in the form of thoughts, but in the form of life itself. If your body had no memory, you would not even know how to digest a morsel of food. You are memory in motion. Now, consciousness is something entirely different. Memory is of the past. Consciousness is of the present. Consciousness means you are aware. Not just aware of what is happening around you, but aware of what is happening within you. The difference between a life lived compulsively and a life lived consciously is this. One is bound by memory, the other is free to create. But look at this, if consciousness is withdrawn, even for a moment, you may be alive, but you are absent. This is what we call coma. The body still breathes, the heart still beats, the cellular memory continues its work, but the being is not present. It is as if the electricity is still running through the wires, but the light bulb has been switched off. So the question arises, what are you? Are you just memory, a product of the past, a collection of experiences and impressions? Or are you consciousness, the pure presence that can exist even without memory? This is where life becomes profound. If you identify only with memory, you are nothing more than an echo of yesterday. But if you awaken to consciousness, then you are not bound by the past. You are free, utterly free, to shape today and tomorrow. People often ask, is there something beyond coma, beyond memory, beyond thought? Yes. When one transcends even the boundaries of memory, consciousness is no longer just presence, it becomes boundless. This is what makes life not just biological, but existential. Memory binds you to your form. Consciousness releases you into the formless. Coma is simply life stuck in between, where memory is functioning, but consciousness is absent. The beauty of being human is that you don't have to wait for life to put you into such states to realize the difference. You can experiment now. If you sit quietly, if you allow yourself to simply be aware, not of your past, not of your thoughts, not of your identities, but just aware, then you will know consciousness not as an idea, but as a living experience. The miracle is not that you remember. The miracle is that you are aware. Memory is the soil. Consciousness is the flower. And the question I leave you with is this. Do you want to live as soil, bound and heavy with the past? Or do you want to bloom as a flower, fragrant, free, and alive in this moment? When we speak of memory, most people immediately think of recalling names, faces, events, or lessons learned in school. But memory is not limited to the small collection of things that we consciously remember. Memory is far deeper, far more profound, and far more essential to life than just what you can consciously recollect. In fact, without memory, life as we know it could not exist for even a moment. Memory is the very foundation of life itself, embedded into every cell, every particle of the body, shaping who you are and how you function. If you look at yourself closely, you will see that the way your body takes form is not an accident. There is an intelligence at work, and that intelligence is guided by memory. The way your eyes are formed, the length of your fingers, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the shape of your skeleton, the tone of your skin, every single detail is encoded through memory. This memory does not sit in your brain in the form of thoughts. It is not something you can recall or forget. It is deeper than thought, deeper than the conscious mind. It is carried in your DNA, in the subtle information stored within the cells, in the very energy that makes you alive. Without this memory, you would not even have the body that you call me. The food you eat becomes flesh and bone, but how does the body know exactly how to transform it? The bread or fruit you eat does not know it must become a hand, or a kidney, or a strand of hair. It is the memory within the body that instructs every cell, every molecule, where it must go, how it must function, and what role it must play. Memory is the invisible architect continuously at work. This is why we say memory is not just something you carry in your head. It is the foundation of the entire structure of life. If you observe closely, even the smallest functions of your body are governed by memory. When you were a baby, you did not consciously decide how to digest food, how to breathe, or how to pump blood through your veins. These processes began on their own because the memory of how to do it is built into the system. The body does not consult you, because if it did, you would be in serious trouble. Imagine if you had to remember to beat your own heart every second, or to command your lungs to inhale and exhale. You would not last very long. So, there is a deeper layer of memory operating continuously, keeping you alive without asking your permission. Memory is not just biological. It is also psychological. When you meet someone you have known for years, the recognition comes from memory. When you know how to walk, talk, or ride a bicycle, it is memory that enables you. Your personality, your likes and dislikes, your fears and ambitions, all are shaped by memory. Every joy you have experienced, every pain you have endured, every word you have heard, every image you have seen, they all leave their impressions, and these impressions collectively shape the person you believe yourself to be. In this sense, you are a living archive of memory, and most of what you call myself is simply a replay of what has already been recorded. But even this psychological memory is just a surface layer. Beneath it lies layers of evolutionary memory. The fact that your body still resembles that of your ancestors, the fact that you carry within you traces of millions of years of survival, adaptation, and transformation, that too is memory. The instincts of survival, the fear of falling, the sense of hunger, the impulse of reproduction, these are not things you learned in this life. They are ancient memories carried through countless generations, alive within you at this very moment. This evolutionary memory is so deeply rooted that you do not even notice it. You simply experience it as life. Consider this: a seed knows how to grow into a tree. If you plant a mango seed, it does not need to go to school to learn how to become a mango tree. The entire design, the entire process of growth, the exact structure of the fruit, the fragrance of its flower, all of this is contained within the memory of the seed. If there were no memory in the seed, it would just remain as a lump of life, never becoming anything. The same applies to you. You are the flowering of a vast storehouse of memory. Without it, you would not know how to stand on your feet. You would not know how to smile. You would not even know how to exist as a human being. It is important to see that memory is always of the past. Whether it is cellular memory, genetic memory, or psychological memory, it all belongs to what has already happened. Your body remembers millions of years of evolution. Your mind remembers the incidents of this lifetime. Your emotions remember the sweetness and bitterness of experiences, and even your energy carries impressions of what has been. You are able to live today only because of this massive reservoir of memory working within you. In this sense, memory is the foundation of life, but it is also the weight of the past. When people think of themselves, they often imagine they are living in the present moment. But if you look closely, you will see that what you call me is largely a bundle of memory replaying itself in new situations. The way you respond to people, the way you judge, the way you feel, all of it is conditioned by memory. This is why two people in the same situation react so differently. Each one is guided by a unique bundle of memories, and those memories dictate how reality is perceived. Without realizing it, you are living through the lens of accumulated memory. If you had no memory at all, you would not even know your own name. You would not know how to walk, how to eat, how to think, or how to survive. In one sense, memory makes life possible. In another sense, memory confines life, because it only allows you to see through the filter of the past. But whichever way you see it, memory is the very foundation. It is the soil in which the plant of life is rooted, the blueprint that holds together the miracle of existence. Do you want me to also expand *** keynote? No. To *** into the same 900 word flowing style, consciousness is not about what you remember, nor is it about the impressions that are stored within you. It is about your ability to be fully present to what is here and now. Memory belongs to yesterday, but consciousness belongs to this moment. It is the clarity that allows you to know life as it is, not as your memory dictates it should be. When you are conscious, you are not bound by the past. You are open to the limitless possibility of the present. Most human beings live more in memory than in reality. They wake up in the morning and immediately recall yesterday's troubles, tomorrow's worries, last week's failures, and last year's joys. They hardly ever look at this moment as it is. Their entire perception is clouded by layers of memory, but consciousness is the power to peel away those layers and experience what is directly in front of you, fresh and alive. Consciousness does not mean thinking harder. It is not the sharpening of memory. It is the ability to remain aware without being trapped in the content of the mind. Right now, if you close your eyes, thoughts will come. These thoughts are nothing but memory rearranging itself. If you open your eyes, you may see a person and instantly think of who they are, what they did, what you expect of them. Again, memory is at play. But if you simply look without labeling, without dragging in yesterday, there is a space where you can just see. That space is consciousness. To live consciously is to live freely. When you are trapped by memory, you are only reacting. You are not truly choosing. If someone insults you, you react not to the present words, but to your memory of what such words mean, what they meant in the past, how they made you feel before. Consciousness allows you to hear the same words, but without the burden of memory dictating your reaction. You may still respond, but the response is free, not compulsive. This is the difference between a life lived in reaction and a life lived in awareness. When you are conscious, the world reveals itself in ways you could never imagine. A tree is not just a tree from your biology textbook. It is not just a green object producing oxygen. When you are conscious, you do not see it through memory. You see it as a living presence, as a burst of life happening in this very moment. The entire existence begins to sparkle with aliveness because you are no longer filtering it through what you already know. Consciousness opens a direct window to reality. Consider the act of breathing. You breathe thousands of times a day without ever noticing. It happens on its own because the memory of breathing is built into the system. But if, for a few moments, you become conscious of your breath, you suddenly enter into an intimate relationship with life. You realize that with every inhale, the universe is entering you, and with every exhale, you are dissolving into it. Nothing has changed except that you have become conscious. This simple awareness transforms the most ordinary act into a profound experience. Consciousness also means responsibility, not in the sense of burden, but in the sense of ability to respond. Memory-driven action is always a repetition of the past. Conscious action is a creative act. In every situation, you have the ability to respond in a fresh way, not dictated by old patterns. This is why consciousness is often described as freedom. It frees you from the compulsions of memory and opens up the possibility of living by choice rather than by habit. When you look at human suffering, you will see that much of it comes not from what is happening now, but from the memory of what has happened or the anticipation of what might happen. People suffer their past endlessly because they are trapped in memory. They suffer their future because they project their past onto what is yet to come. Consciousness dissolves both, because in pure awareness there is no past and no future. There is only the immediacy of what is here. To be conscious is to be awake. Not awake in the sense of not sleeping, but awake to life. Awake to the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun, the beating of your heart, the thoughts moving through your mind, the emotions rising and falling. To be conscious is to witness all this without becoming entangled in it. The thoughts can be there, the emotions can be there, but you remain aware, unbound. This witnessing is not detachment, it is clarity. It is seeing life as it is without distortion. In this clarity, you discover that consciousness is not something you have to create. It is not something to be achieved. It is always here, like the sky. Memory, thoughts, and identities are like clouds passing through. Most of the time, you mistake the clouds for the sky. But if you pay attention, you realize the sky was always present, unchanging, vast, and untouched. Consciousness is like that, ever present, always available, but hidden behind the noise of memory. When you touch consciousness, even for a brief moment, life ceases to be mechanical. Every step, every breath, every glance becomes alive with possibility. You are no longer a prisoner of what has been. You are no longer condemned to repeat patterns endlessly. You stand in the freedom of the present, where creation happens anew. Do you want me to make *** keynote? No. 3 ** into the same deep, flow style, around 700-800 words. Coma is a state where life continues, but presence is absent. The body functions, the systems of survival remain active, the heart still beats, the lungs still draw breath, and the cells continue their endless work, but the light of awareness is gone. It is as though the memory of life sustains the body, but the flame of consciousness has retreated. In this condition, we see most clearly the difference between memory and consciousness, because one is functioning while the other is missing. When a person falls into a coma, their body does not collapse immediately because the biological memory is still intact. The organs know what to do. The blood continues to circulate, digestion carries on in some form, and healing still attempts to take place. All of this happens because the body carries a memory older than thought, a memory that is not dependent on present awareness. This is why even in deep unconsciousness, the body sustains itself. The systems of life do not require conscious intervention. They are driven by ancient memory. Yet, although life continues, something essential is absent. The person is no longer available to themselves or to the world. The body lies there, but the being is withdrawn. This is what reveals so powerfully the difference between mere survival and conscious living. In coma, survival is present, but living presence is not. The body is like a machine running on automatic mode, while the operator has stepped away. This absence makes us question what we usually take for granted. Most people assume that being alive and being conscious are the same, but coma shows us they are not. Life can continue without consciousness. Memory alone is sufficient to keep the body going. The body remembers how to breathe, how to circulate blood, how to metabolize food, how to maintain temperature. None of these require the active involvement of awareness. But without awareness, the human being is reduced to a biological process, no different from a plant or an organism that exists without self-recognition. In ordinary life, this same condition plays out in subtler ways. People move through their days almost in a kind of walking coma, functioning on memory, habit, and repetitive patterns without truly being conscious. They wake, eat, work, speak, and sleep, but most of these actions are automatic. If you look carefully, you will see that very little of what people call living is actually conscious. They are driven by the memory of their conditioning, the memory of their past experiences, the memory of survival instincts. Coma is simply the extreme where this mechanical functioning continues while the conscious self is entirely absent. In that absence, it becomes clear that consciousness is not a luxury. It is the essence of being human. The difference between lying in a coma and living with awareness is not just about movement or speech. It is about the presence of a witness within, the light that allows experience to happen. Without it, even if life continues, the experience of life is gone. This state also reveals something subtle about the nature of identity. A person in coma may still be recognized by others as someone's father, mother, child, or friend. Their body is still present, and so the world continues to identify them. But if there is no awareness inside, what does identity mean? The body is sustained by memory, but the sense of self is absent. Consciousness is what makes identity alive. Without it, identity is only an external label attached to a shell of memory. It also brings to attention the fragility of human experience. We often imagine our sense of self to be solid, but a small injury, a shift in brain chemistry, a sudden trauma, and that presence can disappear. What remains then is only the machinery of memory keeping the body alive. This fragility should not be seen as tragedy alone, but as a reminder of how precious awareness truly is. To be conscious is not something to be taken for granted. Coma, then, is not only a medical condition, but also a profound pointer to the structure of life. It shows us that memory is sufficient for biological existence, but it is not sufficient for living fully. Consciousness is the ingredient that transforms mere existence into experience, transforms survival into life. The body can be compared to an instrument built out of memory, while consciousness is the musician who plays it. When the musician is absent, the instrument may still hum with the echoes of memory, but no new music flows from it. This understanding creates a possibility of reflection for those who are not in coma. If life can continue without awareness, then one must ask, how much of my own life is lived consciously, and how much is just the inertia of memory playing itself out? In seeing coma, we see ourselves more clearly, because it reveals that to be human is not simply to be alive, but to be awake to life.